I'm here today to talk to you about Eddie Van Halen and Kiss, Vinnie Vincent Invasion, all that fun stuff. So I heard a rumor that right around the Creatures era, it was after the Elder, so it was right around because Vinnie wasn't around during the Elder, right? So it was right around the Creatures era. Vinnie was already in the band. Eddie Van Halen was in the mix. As you know, Gene Simmons produced them and also owned their masters for some time and then gave them back to them or whatever. Big of you, Gene, because honestly, those masters would have been worth a lot of money. And a lot of people give Gene all sorts of crap for being, just, cheap and stingy and just being, just selfish, whatever. But, he gave Van Halen their masters. He didn't make them pay a bunch of money for them. He didn't hold them to a contract. He let them be free and become one of the biggest rock bands ever. However, at the time, Eddie was very unhappy with original singer David Lee Roth, which again is we all know this right now, but then nobody knew. And so the rumor that I heard was Gene, Vinnie, and Eddie got in Gene's Buick Riviera. Riviera? Or Rivera? No, it's not Rivera. That's Geraldo Rivera. They got in Gene's Buick Riviera. And from how I heard it, Gene was driving, Vinnie was in the passenger seat, and Eddie was in the back. And basically, Eddie was just going on and on about Vinnie's guitar playing, how great Vinnie, which is really ironic because Eddie is probably the most gifted guitar, or was the most gifted guitar player ever, but he was just going on and on about how gifted Vinnie was. And I think Vinnie had to go do run some errands or something, so Gene dropped him off and Eddie jumped in the passenger seat and they said goodbye to Vinnie. And so I guess Eddie was asking Gene, could he join Kiss? And Gene was like, we've got Vinnie Vincent, who at the time was Vincent Cusano, but I guess he had just become Vinnie Vincent. And Eddie had said something to the effect of, listen, I can leave Van Halen. I hate that band. I hate that singer. I can't deal with them. And Gene said, listen, you're a great guitar player and you're going to take over the world. And by 1982, they were already taking over the world. But it just goes to show you that Vinnie Vincent was such an important member of Kiss. And I know that Paul likes to throw water on that and say that they hired him because they had no alternative, but they had alternatives. And they went with Vinnie. And, that day, and Gene's talked about Eddie wanting to join the band before, when Ace was there, and then later when Vinnie was there, I guess. I don't know. I heard this rumor. And then I heard another rumor that kind of coincided with this Buick story of the three of them driving around, was that Eddie Van Halen was a big fan of that first Invasion record. And now that rumor I'm not 100% sure about, or I'm not 100% sure about either rumor, but this other rumor here about, Gene and Vinnie and Eddie Van Halen driving around in Gene's Buick Riviera. I don't like saying Rivera. Geraldo, get out of my head, man. But I've heard that one a lot. I've heard that one at conventions. I've read it on message boards. And it's just, to me, it's funny that, Eddie would be in the back seat, but it's whatever, it's there's a driver, it was Gene's Buick, you know what I mean? And somebody had to sit in the back seat, right? But then the other rumor that I heard is that Eddie was a big Invasion fan, and he was a really, really big fan of one song in particular, which again, I don't understand why. It's a hell of a great song, but it's Do You Want to Make Love? And I guess it's a really, really, really cool song. And but it's more, it's not even really I don't know why that song in particular, but I guess that was just a song that he really liked. And I think it's more of a Robert Fleischman song than anything else. It feels like it showcases Robert's vocals the most, but it's got every VVI song has got great guitar parts, obviously. And I don't know, it would have been cool. I'll be honest with you, it would have been cool to have seen, Van Halen open up for the Invasion, or vice versa. I mean, but I think that obviously a lot of people are like, how is that possible? Because everybody thinks about record sales. They're like, Van Halen sold 1 million times more than the Invasion. But you don't understand. Eddie was a guitar fan above all else. and he looked at Vinnie as somebody that was like on his level. Maybe he looked at him like he was above his level. You know, Eddie sold more than Steve Vai, Yngwie Malmsteen, Vinnie, Jim Gillette, Mick. I mean, you know, just name everybody. He sold more than them. Doesn't mean that he could not have possibly looked up to those guys. It would have been cool to have seen Eddie Van Halen in the Invasion, I think. Don't you think?